Welcome back to Offroad Outlaws, guys, and in this video, we are going in-depth on some brand new info surrounding the next update. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you watch through to the rest of the video. Also, let me know which one of the new vehicles you are most excited about in the comment section down below. So the post that was made recently by the developers was this, and it said, "We hoped to have this out to you by Christmas, but one of our devs isn't feeling too well. He'll be fine, and we will get this out to you ASAP." Now, essentially, what that means is we don't have a release date for the update, but we know that it is coming soon, especially if it was planned to originally drop before the Christmas season. Now, as far as all of that goes, we're going to go ahead and dive into all of the individual vehicles themselves, and we're going to talk about them and how I feel about them individually. Then we're going to circle back around and talk about some new things that we can expect to see in the update. And the first rig we got to talk about is this thing. I mean, you have any idea how many patrol cars are going to be running around in Offroad Outlaws once this update drops, now that we have a proper charger? Not only that, but those of you that are into RP in Offroad Outlaws, this is going to be huge for you to have, like, a charger. I mean, oh my god, I can see people having, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 or even 6 of these things. One that's like a street car, one that's a drag car, one that's a patrol car, and one that's like a monster truck. That is if they allow you to put the monster truck subframe underneath it, which I really hope they do, because if they do, then that's going to wildly expand the potential for that charger, because not only could you build it into a monster truck, you could build it into a mud truck, a mega truck, a crawler, literally whatever you wanted to turn it into. You could also make it a race rig. And side note here, I was planning on continuing to try to go up that one hill, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and take this other trail because I want to see more of this map than just that one hill. Switching gears a little bit, our next vehicle is this forwarder. Now, logging equipment is, of course, going to be present in the next Offroad Outlaws update because logging is an actual game mechanic now, or it is going to be in the next update. Now, as far as delivering logs, we saw a lot of things in the last release that the developers made in regards to the upcoming missions, where you would deliver either logs, packages, cargo, things like that, and that is going to expand the mission-based elements of the game by a lot. Now, I don't think that's going to take away from the trail riding or the mudding or the roleplay or anything like that. I think it's just going to really add another element of gameplay that will give people more ways to enjoy Offroad Outlaws as a game, and also essentially give it more replay value and replayability, especially if you don't necessarily want to like create a gigantic RP scenario or go through the time that it takes to make your own map or make your own scenario or something like that. Or let's say that maybe, you know, maybe you're traveling and you don't have the best, internet connection at the time, and you just want to, play through something quick. Those missions are going to be perfect for that. We also have to make sure that we touch on the fully redone and updated Ford Raptor. Now, this thing, a lot of people are fans of it. I'm a big fan of it myself, and I think it's going to be really cool to build one of these and put it side by side against one of my Tundra builds, because as y'all know, being a massive Tundra fan, I have one that's built for towing, I have one that's built for crawling, I have one that's built for racing, and I think that that's probably going to be the same story with that new Ford Raptor, because again, with that, I'm going to probably have quite a few different variants of it. I don't know if I'll have a towing one, but I'll definitely have a trail riding one, and I'll absolutely have a Baja style racing one. That one's going to be a blast to play around with. And now we move on to this beast, which is essentially eerily similar to an Oldsmobile 442. Now, there's no telling what we'll be able to do with this car and how far we'll be able to take it in terms of power, in terms of the engine build, in terms of the suspension options, but this one is definitely a little bit more of a Baja-looking build. You've got the Baja, little light bar and roof rack up top. You've got the odd placement, frankly, for the high lift jack, just like chilling out right there on the side, but the freaking flames coming out of the side pipes are absolutely going to just make that car, and especially if they come out both sides, and if you've got fire coming out both side pipes at the same time, I can only imagine the photos that people are going to come up with that. And not only that, but I also feel like a lot of people are going to really use that car for a lot of like Offroad Outlaws drag racing. I feel like that's definitely going to be a really common car to see in Offroad Outlaws drag racing lobbies. Now, let me know in the comment section down below if you plan on using that car more or if you plan on spending a little bit more time in the new Charger. Now, I'm sure that those of you that are a fan of older muscle cars will definitely go for that, but, you know, maybe those of you that are a little bit more into some of the newer cars, which is completely understandable and completely fine, maybe those of you will be a little bit more into the new Charger. And last but most certainly not least, we have this absolutely beautiful truck right here. Now, the way they showed it here was definitely a little bit more on a kind of a, I hate to say base model setup, but very stock-ish, right? Like very kind of, you know, built along the lines of what you might see in a very realistic build. It's even got like street tires on it. Now, if you swapped those out for like mud terrains or even like a slightly more aggressive like all-terrain tire, you would completely transform the look of the truck. But what I find interesting is that they didn't show any of the bumper options. They didn't show any of the like, you know, options for like maybe like a supercharger coming out of the hood or anything like that. They didn't show any of the customization. And to me, that kind of makes me wonder in my head, like that gets my brain going and kind of makes me think, well, are there elements of customization that are going to be on that truck that we've never seen before, that they, you know, that they're maybe just keeping under wraps until the update comes out? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see for more information to come to the surface in terms of that particular truck. But I know that that's going to be a truck that, at least for me, again, it's going to be one of those trucks that I think I will have to have multiple versions of. One might be kind of like, you know, like a lowered like street truck setup, whereas another one is definitely going to be more along the lines of a mega truck, maybe even a mud truck or a monster truck. But again, we'll have to wait and see what setup best suits that truck's performance once we get closer to the release of the update. Now, at this point, now that we've gone through all of the upcoming vehicles, I really do want to circle back to some of the things that we talked about in the last Offroad Outlaws update video, which was a little bit of a while back. Now, the thing about that is the fact that, you know, they put a bunch of details out there about how there were going to be missions and, you know, hauling and things like that and new cargoes, and then we didn't really hear anything for, honestly, quite a while. And then once they released this info, it was almost along the lines of, like, especially when you look at that post, it almost seemed along the lines of the fact that like this update was meant to be out close to now, potentially. I mean, now obviously they said why, and we talked about that in the beginning of the video, but, you know, it makes me think, you know, how far away is the update release, actually, you know? And they did not give us a definitive release date, but if they said that it was supposed to be out, you know, before Christmas, but they had, like, a couple of complications, I mean, at the end of the day, it can't be all that far off, right? It can't be all that far away. Now, let me know in the comment section down below when you guys think we'll be getting this update. Now, the devs are really interesting for Offroad Outlaws in this regard because sometimes, you know, they'll give like just a tiny little hint and then all of a sudden the update drops like really soon after that. And then other times they give like a ton of hints and a ton of information and then it takes a really long time for the update itself to drop. So it's always kind of a weird like back and forth, especially if you try to like guess when these updates are coming. And another element of that, and I know a lot of people always ask like, well, when is it coming? You know, when is the update going to come out? And it's one of those things where not only do they have to finish the update and they have to get it prepped and they have to get it sent out, but the update also has to go through several different levels of approval to be on both iOS and Android devices, and those timelines are usually never like exactly the same, and so that's why it really does help to be patient in terms of waiting for the update to actually push out to your devices. So once again, we don't have any info at the time of filming this video on when the update is actually releasing, but rest assured there will be tons of coverage when that update drops right here on this channel. So, and both in video and live stream form. So if you want to make sure to not miss any of that, make sure you're subscribed and that you have those notifications turned on. I really do want to say as well that as someone that has been playing Offroad Outlaws for a really long time, I am extremely impressed at where this game has come. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you go back to what it was, you know, a few years back and then look at where it is now. This game has gone through so many upgrades, so many improvements, so many changes. I mean, when you look at the updates to the graphics, you look at the updates to the vehicles, you look at the updates to multiplayer and multiplayer stability, and, you know, new features and map creation features, you know, and like photo related features, all of these new things that they continue to add to this game. And I think they really do an absolutely incredible job, not only at staying on top of the game itself, but also at listening to their community and really, you know, putting in all of these different things as much as they can in, you know, in regards to what the community genuinely wants to see and what they genuinely want out of the gameplay experience. Now, if there is anything that you would like to see in Offroad Outlaws later on down the road in a future update, make sure you leave any of those things in the comment section down below. And with that, that is where we are going to end this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Talk to y'all later, and I hope you guys enjoyed.